82.6 kilograms. So not another actual low weigh-in, but as I always preach, it's about the weekly average, right? So once my weekly average is still going down, that means that I don't have to make any changes. I'm not gonna make any changes whatsoever anyway, because this is the last actual week and I'm still hitting lower weigh-ins. So that means that these calories and cardio are still doing their magic. Anyway, it's around 9:22 a.m. at the moment. I'm about to drink my morning coffee. And then I have to be in the gym at around 10 a.m. to train a client, then go home, then have my breakfast for the day. Because as you guys may or may not know, I'm not a breakfast person, during prep at least, simply because I want to save a lot of calories for later in the day. So it's now coffee time. And before I always actually drink my coffee, I always make sure to get at least around 500 milliliters up to a liter of water upon waking up, after weighing myself and so forth. Simply because you have slept for 6 to 8 hours for most people and you haven't drank any water. So that means that you're in a dehydrated state. And most of the time we feel hunger, or we think we feel hunger when we wake up, but it's most of the time dehydration. So be sure to rehydrate yourself after you've woken up, before you go and drink your coffee. Honestly, to those who have dieted down to some seriously low body fats before, or diet in general actually, eating breakfast is the best part of the day, because you know that you still have a lot of macros left for the day. It's the least hungry moment and the most fulfilling moment, in my opinion. Like this, even just a bowl of oats with some whey, it looks like heaven, honestly. Just look at the consistency and the colors. Oh man, I just really love food. Alright guys, so breakfast of the day. I have the legendary bowl of oats with 100 grams of oats, 40 grams of whey, 20 grams of cacao powder, hot water, 10 grams of chocolate sprinkles, and a little bit of Himalayan salt, a little bit of cinnamon, and some sweetener, a kiwi for the micronutrients, the legendary Nutella sandwich with 30 grams of Nutella, and another coffee to get caffeinated. Alright, so I am currently rendering the devoted episode that you watched before you're watching this one, and I'm about to head to the gym. Now, as I mentioned, this is the last actual grinding week, so this will be my last bench session where I fully commit to pushing myself. Now, the next week will be peak week, so I'll be keeping a lot more reps in reserve and actually let my body recover a little and just focus on blood flow, getting the carbs to all the right places in order to fill up nicely for the stage that coming Saturday. So not this coming Saturday, but the Saturday after that, which is show day. So I'm about to go to the gym, drag my pre-workout, getting my mind right, and getting ready to kill the last actual bench session. Alright guys, upper body session about to go down. I have 110 kilograms on the bar, still following the RPT lean mass program. Like I said, this is the last session that I'm actually going to be pushing myself, since the next week is peak week and I'm focusing a little bit more on keeping a few reps in the tank. So 110 on the bar, let's get it. Alright, so I just got back from the gym, and again I was counting every single second of that cardio session, but I got it done. Burned the amount of calories that I wanted to burn or need to burn, so I'm feeling very lethargic and drained. It's time to fuel up on the post-workout meal. Alright, so I have 2 giant bowls of food. I'm telling you, the #1 solution to feeling hungry on a diet is just filling yourself up with food. And logically, that has to be low calorie food since you don't want to go over your macros. So just fill it up with vegetables. I have 180 grams of chicken with some 50% reduced sugar ketchup and sriracha, 320 grams of broccoli and 350 grams of white cooked potatoes. And below that I have, of course, some salad, 700 grams of quark and 300 grams of mixed frozen berries. This will do the job for me. Alright, it is later in the evening and I'm reunited with the lovely girlfriend.
Me! Oh.
I was just about to say hi.
Oh, hi. Wait, my mustache is itching.
Oh, mustache. I have a mustache.
Yeah, but I like to call it a mustache.
Right. As I said, the cardio was pretty damn tough, but I feel recovered now. Took a nice little hot shower and pretty much just took it easy for the rest of the day. So I'm at the girlfriend's house right now and you can already know what we're going to watch right now.
Game of Thrones!
Game of Thrones. Some half nutty lighting, man. Alright guys, so I want to go over my peak week strategy. Now, a lot of you have misconceptions of what peak week actually is and what it's all about. You know, peak week is not something magical that will automatically improve your physique or fix anything in terms of fat loss or whatever. Before you actually head into peak week, you should already be lean enough. You should already be pretty damn freaking shredded in order to then utilize peak week in order to fill out your glycogen. Peak week is simply you carbing up, filling out your muscles, which allows them to push harder to the skin in order to get that dry, hard and veiny or grainy look. So it's not that you will get leaner during this week, because you should already be lean enough and seeing shreds in all the right places. And then peak week will allow you to fill up your frame and get that desired look that you want on stage. I'm going to be going over my estimated strategy for peak week, since it's not something that is directly set in stone, right? You really need to pay close attention to how your body, or my body in this particular, is responding to what you think you will be able to take in terms of carbohydrates, fats and protein in order to peak your physique. So my current possible strategy for peak week is the following. I have my normal low carbohydrate day or low calorie day, which is 325 grams of carbs for me personally. That is the lowest that I had to go during this prep. And I have my high day, which is my refeed day, which is anywhere between 450 to 500 grams of carbohydrates. Now this is where I'm going to be utilizing both of these days in order to see how my body responds and how my body fills up on these amount of carbs, right? So I know that on my low day I'm not very flat, but I could be a little bit more full, and that is where I'm going to be applying these higher days. Now in the beginning of the week I'm going to be slowly building up my carbs leading up to one day out of the show and then on show day itself. So my current plan is to bring my carbs up to 350 grams for the first 2 days of the final week of prep. So on Monday and Tuesday. So normally on my low day I have 325 grams of carbs. And from past experience where I upped my carbs with 25 grams when I did a reverse diet, I know that my body tightens up really nicely with even just 25 grams of carbs extra. So in order to fill up some more glycogen, I'm going to be going 25 grams higher than my low day. So Monday and Tuesday will be 350 grams of carbs. Then on Wednesday in order to get closer to peak conditioning, I'm going to be bringing them up to 400 grams. So that's a 50 gram of carb increase in order to fill out a little bit better. And then on Thursday before the show, I want to kind of play with the carbs. So I'm going to be having a range of 400 to 450 grams of carbs, kind of just to see, like I said, how my body responds to the carbs. When am I spilling over? I probably won't spill over because 450 grams is my refeed amount. So I'm just going to check how my physique responds to that amount. Now Friday, which is the day before the show, that is when the actual peaking will come to play, because the approach that I'm taking right here is called a front load. Now you have a front load and a back load. Now a back load can do a lot of good for your physique in terms of filling out your physique and filling out your glycogen, but it's also more risky since you have a lot of potential to overspill. And overspilling simply means that you had too much carbs and potentially too much sodium, which can cause your physique to look a little bit more bloated and watery, which is something that I personally want to prevent. So a safer approach is the front load, where you load up the carbs earlier in the week and then taper where it's necessary. So on Friday, the day before the show, I'm going to go 450 to 500 grams of carbs. And just, again, take a close look at my physique, see how my body is responding to the carbs, the sodium, the water intake and so forth. And then possibly reach peak conditioning or slightly above peak conditioning, so slightly spilling, knowing that it will kind of settle throughout sleep and upon waking up. So that I then, on show day itself, can play around with the carbs. Eating rice cakes, eating things that do not contain a lot of fiber because I don't want to be bloated on stage. I'm just going to be eating carb sources that I know my body responds well on and that I can achieve a hard, grainy and veiny look with. For example, I might take some Gatorade with me to get some quick carbs in my system, perhaps some candy, just take some things with me that I know my body responds well to, that will fill up my glycogen, get me veiny and get me ready for the stage. Now there's a lot of controversy about sodium during peak week and water intake, but as a natural, it turns out that you basically don't have to touch it. Just keep it as it was during prep, and it should have already been quite high during prep in order to avoid flatness and get the carbs into the right places, so in your muscles, you know, to refill your glycogen. So my sodium intake is already pretty high, and since sodium also plays a role in the ability for the carbs to get shot into the muscle cells, you're better off keeping your sodium a bit more on the high side. And of course water also helps with shuttling all those carbs in the muscle. So my water and sodium intake will stay pretty consistent throughout the entire last week during peak week. Now in terms of training, I'm placing my last lower body session on the Monday before the show. Because when you train legs, your legs lose some definition and they tend to hold a lot of water. I want to place my last lower body session earlier on in the week so that I don't have sore legs when I'm posing, and that my legs have the ability to lean out as the week goes by leading up to show day. And in terms of intensity, I'm going to be doing the same thing that I normally do, so my normal style of programming, but I'm going to be leaving 1 or 2 reps left in the tank. You're not supposed to be pushing yourself during peak week, since it's basically just a week where you're allowing your body to recover, not get sore, and relax the body so that you don't have cramps or soreness when it's showtime and you have to hold poses for like minutes on end, right? Now my cardio will stay pretty much the same since I don't have any high intensity interval sessions or something, so I'm going to be keeping my low intensity cardio in there, my walks in there, because otherwise my net calories for the week would actually end up being way higher than they were during a normal prepping week. So I'm going to be keeping those variables pretty consistent throughout peak week, but of course just let my legs relax, since again, I don't want to be sore on stage and potentially mess up my poses. So Tuesday is my upper day, Wednesday is an off day, Thursday is my last actual workout, and then on Friday I'm just going to be pumping up, making sure that the carbs are going to all the right places, signaling that through pumping up with some bands or push-ups and so forth, not going ham on legs because like I said, I want them to relax and lose water. And that is basically my plan for peak week. Now again, this might change depending on how my physique responds and how my body responds to the carbs, the sodium, the water, the training and so forth. So this is my current planning in order to get my conditioning ready for the stage. Alright, and that is all for this video, guys. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, please be sure to smash the like button because it really helps out the channel grow. Comment down below on what you liked and what you would like to see next. Subscribe to the channel for so much more content coming really soon. I'm out, guys, and peace out. See you in the next one.